What's going on, folks, and welcome back to Decoding Wisdom. Today's podcast is very interesting because I was watching the High Performance podcast the other day, hosted by Jake Humphrey and Damien Hughes back in the UK, and they had my idol and inspiration, virtual mentor, call it whatever you want, Chris Williamson on the show. And Damien asked Chris, "What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?" And Chris replied with, "Always contemplate the price you pay for inaction." And at first I thought he meant lost hours or missed deadlines, time quietly leaking away, so to say. But the longer I actually observed my habits over the next few weeks after that, the clearer the lesson started becoming, which is, it isn't time that I'm squandering. It's attention. And attention is a true gold in the vault, not time. So if you think about it, you can sit on the couch for 2 hours, spend time, but if your mind is hijacked by doom scrolling, did you actually live those hours? No. And time moved on the clock, sure, but your attention was somewhere else entirely. And that's why the world's biggest companies pry for attention, so as to even spending $7 million for 30 seconds of your gaze during a Super Bowl ad. And they know what we keep forgetting. Whoever controls attention controls everything. And in last week's episode, I discussed this region beta paradox, termed by psychologists Daniel Gilbert and Timothy Wilson, which is essentially that we move quickest or react quickest when things get catastrophic. But when life is merely fine, we stay put both mentally and physically. And there's an attention version of the same thing that I'm calling attention beta, where you're half watching Netflix, half scrolling TikTok, Instagram, half listening to podcasts. It's like three halves that never make a whole, yet nothing feels painful enough to make you slam the laptop shut. And inaction isn't neutral. It quietly rents space in your head and charges interest in the background. And distraction isn't just an accident. It's a business model now. We know it. We all know it. When you work corporate, one of the biggest things about customer experience is grabbing attention, right? Whether that's through social media, website, any sort of content, it's all about attention. And every ping that whispers or pops up, we all think, maybe this one will change everything. Maybe you're waiting for a job offer. Maybe it's some news that you're out for. And each tiny interruption steals about 23 minutes of true focus. And just the other day, I made a mistake of, going on my phone first thing in the morning, and just in a flash, half an hour passed. And I was like, oh God, I'm late for work now. And stack those pings across a day, and you start wondering why you're exhausted, even though you didn't do that much. So how do we fight back? Well, we need to understand where our attention is going. So write down every time your focus drifts. The result is very uncomfortable because I've done it, but that ignorance, if you don't do it, is far more expensive. Then redesign your room or the environment you are in to be friction-free. The classic one is put your phone in another room or space when you're about to go to bed. When you're browsing on the web, just do single tab browsing. Put a guitar on the stand for you to see. Book on the coffee table for you to pick up. It's building those micro fences, right? 10-minute timers for social. Email maybe twice a day. News in, one curated hit maybe. Tiny acts of rebellion that say essentially, my mind is not for rent. You got to keep reminding that to yourself. Because every open loop, the job decision you're avoiding, the relationship you won't define, the business idea you only think about but don't execute on, is a browser tab that's draining your mental RAM. So you need to close that tab and reclaim that bandwidth. And remember, no circumstance can steal the spotlight you direct. Think about a crowded commute, noisy household, uncertain economy. You still decide what slice of reality gets in your head, essentially. And writer and meditator Jeff Warren puts it perfectly. What you pay attention to becomes your life. And choose poorly, and your life shrinks into a highlight reel of other people's priorities. So choose well, and it becomes a deliberate work of art. And Naval Ravikant, on when he went on Chris Williamson's podcast, Modern Wisdom, said that he doesn't follow news anymore because he says, why should I be, in the most respectful way possible, he said, if there's something going on across the world that I can do nothing about, why should I let it live rent-free in my head and make me worry? Because I genuinely can't do anything about it. I can mean well for people, sure, but other than that, I can't do anything about it. So extend that logic. Why give your premium grade focus to junk feeds and half-hearted tasks? Obviously, I'm not calling things that happen, humanitarian things that happen, junk feeds or half-hearted tasks, but I'm just saying pick and choose what you want to let into your attention. Be stingy. Parcel it out grudgingly. Guard it like cash in a crisis. So 2 simple things I want you guys to do. First, list where your attention actually went and where you wish it had gone. Second is tweak the environment around you so the wish becomes the default. Do that, and you're not only rescuing productivity or relationships, you're reclaiming the raw material of a life well lived. And with that, thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Decoding Wisdom. I'll see you next Friday.